Hi, fifth graders. Today's topics are going to be conversions again. So we're going to be touching up on yards, feet, miles, and inches. So we're going to start off with the yards, feet, and inches. So for these worksheets, they give you the conversions up on top. So in this case, since we're dealing with mainly yards, feet, and inches, they give us that 1 yard equals 3 feet and the 1 foot equals 12 inches. So let's do number 15 together. It gives us 25 feet and we're trying to go into inches, right? So remember what I said last week? If we're trying to go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, then well, first we know that inches is more than feet. So once that's established, we know that we're trying to go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. And whenever we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, you have to multiply. But if we're trying to go from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, then we need to divide. But in this case, we're going from feet to inches, so we're going to be multiplying. So we see that 12 inches equals 1 foot, and we're given 25 feet. So we're going to multiply the 25 by the 12, so that we get the total number of inches that we have. So 5 times 2 is 10. Bring down the 0, bring up the 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 plus 1 is 5. So I bring down the 5, and then add up my placeholder 0. And then I do 1 times 5, which is 5. 2 times 1 is, which is 2. And then we're going to add these. And we get 0, 0. Bring up the 1. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we get 300 inches. Once again, we only multiplied because we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. Now let's do a little bit more practice. This time we're going to go from yards to inches. Once again, it looks like we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit. In this case, we're getting 6 yards, right? But when we look up here, we're not given how many inches go into a yard. Instead, we're given how many inches go into a foot and how many feet equals 1 yard. So first, we already established that there's 12 inches in 1 foot. However, we want to get from yards, right? So we're trying to, when we see that 3 feet equal 1 yard. So in order to get how many inches equals 1 yard, we're going to multiply 12 by 3. So 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 1 is 3, so we get 36. So there's 36 inches in 1 yard. So let's keep that in mind. And we're trying to go from 6 yards to inches. Once again, we're going from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, so we are going to be multiplying. So once we know that there's 36 inches in 1 yard, and in order to find out how many inches are in 6 yards, we're going to be multiplying 36 by 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. Bring up the 3, bring down the 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 plus 3 is 21. So we get 216. So our answer is that 6 yards equals 216 inches. So you need to remember that rule that I keep constantly repeating. Larger unit to smaller unit, you multiply, and smaller unit to bigger unit, you divide. Now this time we're gonna be dealing with yards, miles, and feet. Let's do number 20. 39 miles equals how many yards? So once again, since these are different units, we're going to look up here of the conversions that they showed us. It shows us that 1 mile equals 1,760 yards, and 1 yard also equals 5,280 feet. This time we're trying to see, we see that miles is bigger than yards, right? So since we're going from bigger to smaller unit, we're going to be dividing. But we're trying to find out bigger to smaller, we multiply. So, seeing as though we're trying to find out how many miles go into a yard, we're going to look up here. We see that 1,760 yards equals 1 mile, and we're trying to find out how many yards are in for 39 miles. So we're going to be multiplying 1,760 by 39. So 9 times 0 is just 0. 9 times 6 is 54. Bring down the 4, bring up the 5. 9 times 7 is 63. And 63 plus 5 is 68. Bring down the 8, bring up the 6. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. Bring down the placeholder 0. 3 times 0 is just 0. 3 times 6 is 18. Bring down the 8. Bring up the 1. 3 times 7 is 21. 21 plus 1 is 22. Bring down the 2. Bring up the 2. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 plus 2 is 5. So once we have that all multiplied, let's add. 0 plus 0 is just 0. 4 plus 0 is 4. 8 plus 8 is 16. Bring down the 6. Bring up the 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus 1 is 8. 1 plus 5 is 6. I said the answer. Let's put a comma. So 39 miles equals 68,640 yards. So for this worksheet, keep in mind these conversions. And for here, it doesn't mean that 1,760 yards equals 5,280 feet. It means that 1 mile equals 1,760 yards, and 1 mile also equals 5,280 feet. So once you see these equal signs, don't get that confused. Let's do part 2 for the same questions or type of questions. So number 3 gives us 5,280 feet, and we're trying to go to miles. This case, we're going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, right? So in this case, we're going to be dividing. We're given 5,280 feet, and would you look at that? 5,280 feet equals 1 mile. So this one was pretty easy. We just put 1 because 5,280 feet is equivalent to 1 mile. So that's all I have for you guys today. Just remember that when you're going from a smaller unit to a bigger unit, you will divide. But when you go from a bigger unit to a smaller unit, you will multiply. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope this video helped you guys a bit.